Unbelievable, 7 miracles that changed everything. Trust God. At 3 a.m., the clock ticked toward 3 in the morning, each second echoing like a drumroll in the silent darkness. Emily lay wide awake, heart pounding, mind racing with 100 wild thoughts. Outside, shadows danced in the moonlight, but Emily sensed something more than mere nightlife in her quaint little town. People whispered of miracles, strange occurrences that twisted reality itself, and tonight, she was about to find out what they truly meant. That it was last week when Mrs. Henderson, the frail elderly woman who lived 2 doors down, had claimed to speak to God. She said she'd seen a figure in white walking down the street, bathed in ethereal light. Folks laughed at her tales until her long-lost brother showed up at her doorstep the next day alive. No one in town had seen him for over a decade. More unsettling was the wild tale of James Carter, the local handyman who suddenly healed from a coma after just one prayer session. People were raving, gathering, expecting to witness the unbelievable, a miracle of their own. Emily felt something crawling in the pit of her stomach, a mixture of dread and excitement. Could she too experience something supernatural? She swung her legs off the bed, the cold floor biting at her feet, and peered out the window. The moon hung low, casting an opalescent glow on the solitary figure standing in the street. Who was that? Her heart raced. Was this yet another miracle happening right before her eyes? As she squinted, the figure seemed to shimmer and twist, like smoke rising from a fire. An instinctive fear gripped her. Silence engulfed the street, not even a stray cat dared to move. Emily felt a tightness in her chest, an inexplicable pull toward this unknown stranger. She thought to pull back, to run, but her curiosity clenched tighter than her sense of safety. What was this being? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Emily felt a rush, a spark of bravery igniting within her. With trembling hands, she threw on a jacket and slipped down the creaking staircase, every step echoing in the stillness. The door swung open, the night air wrapped around her like a cloak. As she stepped outside, the figure turned. It felt like time had stopped. Their eyes locked and a flicker of recognition passed between them. What did she see? Was it fear? Hope? Or something altogether otherworldly? Her heart raced as she took another step closer. The figure raised a hand, beckoning her forward, and the world around them seemed to hold its breath. Emily's world was about to change. But what kind of change? And at what cost? The shadows danced eagerly at her feet, and she felt a weight in the air, thick with anticipation. Emily's breath caught as the figure stepped closer, revealing a face half lit by moonlight, sharp features frozen in an expression of knowing. The figure was tall, draped in a shimmering white cloak, its essence almost overwhelming. Every instinct in her screamed to retreat, to run back into the safety of her home, yet a magnetic force kept her rooted to the gravel beneath her feet. What do you want? She finally managed to whisper, her voice trembling in the stillness. The figure's lips curled into a hint of a smile, as if it could sense her fear doubling back on itself. There was an ancient wisdom in those eyes, a depth that spoke of stories forgotten and futures unwritten. Your faith, your doubts, they all lead you to me, the figure spoke, its voice resonating softly, echoing through the night as if weaving itself into the very fabric of the air. Emily's heart raced. The phrase seemed to wrap around her, drenching her in a wave of confusion. Why now? Why me? She gasped, tears threatening to spill. Back in town, people were talking about miracles, the kind that turned lives upside down. But were they even prepared for what could happen next? The figure stepped even closer, and Emily felt a rush of warmth, as though the chill of the night was melting away. The hours after midnight hold truths, Emily. Are you prepared to see? The question hung heavy in the air. Behind her, residential lights flicked on, revealing curious faces peering out from their windows. Emily turned, catching the flicker of disbelief and fear etched across the neighbors' faces. What did they see? A girl in a white dress? A ghost? Their whispers rose like a chorus of worries. Look, Emily said, gesturing toward the figure. Can you see that? But the figure had begun to fade, a wisp of smoke dissipating into the night as if it had never existed at all. Panic surged within her. Wait! She cried, reaching out, but it was too late. The woman who had called forth the miracles was gone, vanished into the moonlight that now felt colder, sharper. Emily! A voice called from behind. It was Jake, her best friend, breathless and wide-eyed. His expression screamed urgency. I was worried when I saw you outside. You okay? No, Jake. I just saw something. Her voice faltered. How could she explain that shimmering figure, a vision plucked out of impossible dreams? Would anyone dare believe her? Before Jake could probe further, a loud crack echoed down the street. The sudden sound pierced the heavy silence, a sharp reminder that reality was tearing at the seams. Emily and Jake exchanged glances of silent alarm, instinctively stepping closer together. Did you hear that? Jake whispered, eyes darting around. A sudden gust of wind swept over them, strong and biting. It carried whispers, unintelligible and haunting. Shadows loomed larger, twisting like specters caught in a desperate dance. What is happening? Jake murmured, his voice laced with fear. Emily felt the weight of countless eyes upon her, of townsfolk stirring, disbelieving what they had seen. Did they sense it too? The pulse of something dark and ancient awakening beneath their small town. Just as she was about to speak, a beam of light shot from nowhere, illuminating the place where the figure had been, and a wave of energy surged through her. The tangible feeling of power surged deep inside, igniting a fire she never knew existed. She shivered, her entire body resonating with sudden purpose. We need to go, she urged, a sense of urgency blooming in her chest. Before it's too late, out of the darkness, a low rumble echoed, bringing with it an unsettling reality. Something was shifting, something deep beneath the surface, and whether they were ready or not, they were about to uncover the truth behind the miracles spinning out of control. As they hurried away, the shadows whispered louder, weaving dread into the night. What did the figure mean? Would this unveiling bring salvation or doom? And just when they thought they could escape, an ominous crack of thunder shook the ground beneath them, making Emily freeze. In her tracks. Emily! Jake shouted, his panic infectious as they both turned back toward the source of the commotion. What awaited them now? The answer hovered just out of reach, tantalizing and dangerous. Would the next moment be the miracle they wished for, or a nightmare unleashed? The world seemed to close in around Emily as the thunder rumbled once more, deep and foreboding. The townsfolk began to emerge, restless shadows now wide-eyed with anticipation. Emily gripped Jake's arm, feeling the warmth of his flesh contrast against the chill that crept along her skin. Did you hear that? It's alive, she whispered, the tremor in her voice exposing her unsteady hold on courage. With sound ricocheting off the houses, the air shimmered thick with unease. Jake swallowed hard. Maybe it's just a storm. His voice lacked conviction. But I can't shake this feeling. Before he could finish, another flash of light erupted, screaming down from the sky. It ripped through the night, illuminating the street for a terrifying heartbeat. And there, in the wake of the brilliance, Emily saw something, a shape, shifting and twisting like fog before her eyes. She blinked, trying to shake off the vision. But the form solidified, revealing an ethereal being that hovered just above the pavement, wearing a shroud of luminous darkness. It's happening! Jake cried, pushing himself protectively in front of her. The fear radiating off him matched the palpable tension in the air. Stop! We need to see what it wants, Emily breathed, determined despite the electric fear sparking within her. As they stepped closer, the figure turned to meet their gaze. Its voice came forth, a dulcet melody that resonated deep. The line between truth and illusion is fading. You are chosen, Emily. Alone, doubt would consume you. But together, you will stand or fall. What does that mean? Emily asked, disbelief weaving itself through her veins. What choice? Suddenly, a crack of energy surged from the ground, splitting the pavement beneath their feet. Both Jake and Emily stumbled back, the shockwaves jolting through them. The townspeople gasped, caught in this unraveling moment of terror. Emily. A voice boomed from the crowd, her father, heart throbbing with alarm. Get away from that thing. No, Dad. Wait. But the moment she spoke, she knew it was too late. Fear had ignited panic. People started to run in every direction, screaming as chaos unfolded. With each frantic footfall, the figure's essence pulsed higher, almost like a drumbeat matching Emily's racing heart. Trust in the truth. Seek it, or it will be lost forever. Emily. Please. Jake pleaded, still holding her tightly. But the words echoed now in her mind, demanding to be understood. She felt drawn into a maelstrom of faith and fear, visions halting her breath. Everything the townspeople had said, the miracles, the overwhelming dread, was converging into a single moment of clarity. I can't just leave, Jake. With fierce resolve, she stepped forward. If this is about choosing, then I choose to confront it. The figure responded, shimmering with approval. So it begins. You will journey beyond what you know. You have awakened the echoes buried deep beneath this town. The moment the figure spoke, the ground rumbled violently, awakening a slumbering energy. A crack opened wide, revealing tendrils of darkness spiraling up, and a wave of cold surged around them, gripping at Emily's heart. Emily. Jake's voice rose above the din, filled with fear for her safety. Get back. The cacophony of townsfolk behind them reached its peak. As desperation clawed at her throat, Emily understood that this wasn't just a personal journey. It was a reckoning for everyone who lived in this town. The enormity of their situation crashed like lightning through her mind. Whatever happens, we face it together, she shouted over the wind, her resolve unwavering. Then, a final, ear-splitting crack of thunder exploded overhead. In that instant, time itself hung suspended, reality teetering on the brink. Visions of futures altered played slowly before her eyes, each whispering secrets that begged to be unraveled. But just as hope ignited inside her, the shadows swirled faster around them, demanding a choice. Would Emily dare to dive deeper into the unknown, or would the horrors of what lay beneath remain buried forever? A single thought. Shine through the chaos. Will she be the miracle or the monster waiting to be unleashed? The ground trembled violently, sending bursts of dust into the air as if the earth itself were waking from a nightmare. Emily felt her heart racing, each beat reverberating through her entire being. She remained rooted to the spot, torn between the life she knew and this strange, pulling force that promised to reveal the truth masked in mystery. Jake's grip tightened on her arm. Emily, please. He urged, his voice hoarse with panic, but she could see the glint of determination in his eyes. The being before them shimmered, the darkness wrapping around it like a cloak. You must make your choice, Emily. Time is a fleeting veil. You must pierce it or forever face the shadows. Don't. Jake shouted again, desperately trying to pull her back. I want to let you do this alone. But as Emily gazed into the figure's luminescent eyes, a surge of courage swelled within her, drowning out the cries of the crowd. No, Jake, she said, voice steadying. We can't let fear win. Suddenly, the ground erupted in a shockwave, hurling them backward. Emily landed hard on the pavement, the wind knocked out of her lungs. She blinked through the dust, gasping, searching for Jake. He was just a few feet away, struggling back to his feet, panic etching lines into his youthful face. Emily. he cried, his eyes wide in horror. As he reached for her, the air changed, electric and thick with an unseen energy. The figure seemed to pulse with light, drawing them closer, as if it were a star pulling in the stragglers of the night sky. Every choice holds weight. The figure sang, voice rising over the chaos. Fear will bind your hearts, but truth will shatter the darkness. Time slipped away, seconds stretching into eternity. Emily could feel the gasp of air filling her lungs again. Staring into the figure's ethereal visage, emotions flooded her, anger, hope, confusion. Then let me shatter it, she declared, defiance igniting her spirit. I choose truth. The being's form glimmered brighter, a smile if it could be called that spreading across its features. Then speak your truth, and open the light. With each word, a wave of energy coursed through Emily. She felt the tendrils of darkness around her begin to retract, revealing the ground beneath swirling with bright colors she had never seen, rippling with potential. Images flared before her, moments that defined her: the love of her family, the laughter of friends, the warmth of community. Each memory pulsed like a heart, but then darkness crept in, shadows wrapping around her self-doubt and fears. What if she didn't have the strength? What if confronting this truth meant exposing the failures of her past? Just as that thought took root, she felt Jake beside her. Emily! He yelled over the cacophony. Together! Together! It echoed inside her, drowning out the whispers of despair. She took a deep breath, casting aside all doubts. I will not hide. I embrace who I am. I embrace the heavy and the light. A jolt surged through her, sending waves of bright light cascading outward from her core. The darkness began to withdraw, like a tide receding, revealing secrets long buried beneath the surface. Recognizing the freedom in vulnerability, she saw the townsfolk slowly stop, eyes wide with bewilderment that morphed into awe. Emily Jake breathed in disbelief, eyes glistening. But before either could comprehend the moment, the shadows surged forward one last time, a collective scream echoing from the depths of the crack in the ground. That primal sound was enough to shake the very bones of the earth, shrouding them in an intense sensation of uncertainty. Hold on! The figure warned, as the ground shook beneath them, threatening to swallow them whole. Emily! What is happening? Jake called out, fear clawing at his throat. I don't know, was all she could muster as the vortex of shadows came alive, pushing the line between truth and illusion further apart than ever. Just then, a brilliant light burst forth from her heart, blinding them both. Emily clenched her eyes shut against the brilliance, a new understanding exploding within her. They were not here just to witness, they were part of the awakening. Was it too late to stop what lay ahead? The moment hung in the air. Would they stumble backward into darkness, or face the daunting, uncertain path filled with unseen wonders? Could she confront the very monster they feared, or would she be swallowed whole by the echoes beneath? The light consumed everything, a blinding, suffocating brightness that shrouded Emily and Jake from the chaos around them. They felt as if they were floating, untethered from Earth's grievances. In that moment, the cacophony of screams faded into a whisper, the dust settled, and all they could hear was the thunder of their own hearts. Then, without warning, the light fractured, revealing a swirling vortex of colors that shifted and danced. Emily squinted, trying to focus on the dazzling hues, her heart quickening with both fear and wonder. What is this? She breathed, her voice a fragile whisper. This is what we've awakened, Jake replied, his voice hushed, reverent. The shadows pulled back reluctantly, as if being drawn away by unseen hands. Emily could see silhouettes emerging from the darkness, a twisted blend of faces, lost and longing. Their expressions were etched with pain, pleading for release. Are they trapped? Jake's voice trembled as he pointed towards a figure that looked eerily familiar. It was a childhood friend of Emily's, Mia, her spirit enveloped in shadow while her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Emily! Help me! Mia's voice cut through the air, desperate and haunting. Emily's heart twisted painfully. "Jake, we have to help them," she exclaimed, feeling a fierce resolve surge within her. The luminescent being hovered a few feet away, watching with a knowing gaze. "Remember, the truth. You have to speak it." The figure encouraged, its tone calm, almost soothing. "Speak the truth." Doubt crept back into Emily's mind. "What if my words can't reach them?" "There's power in your voice. Show them your truth, and through that, you'll ignite theirs," the figure insisted, urging her forward. Emily took a hesitant step toward the swirling shadows. "Mia, I'm here," she cried. "I remember you. I never forgot our friendship." The shadows around Mia rippled, but the dark tendrils wrapped tighter. The other spirits started to murmur, the chaos of their whispers circling back like a tidal wave. "Your memory is strong, but the fear it binds us." Mia strained, her face contorting with effort. Emily could see the suffocating darkness tightening its grip, eager to swallow her friend whole. Panic surged in Emily's chest. "What do I say?" She clutched Jake's hand like a lifeline. "Speak your truth," he urged, eyes wide, shimmering with belief and support. The knowledge that Jake was beside her ignited a flicker of courage in her heart, casting out the shadows of doubt. "I am not defined by my failures," she shouted, the words exploding forth with raw power. "I am brave. I am enough. And I won't let fear silence me." The vortex pulsated, absorbing her words, and color spilled out, golden warmth washing over the oppressed spirits. They recoiled at first, then began to stir. Emily felt the pulse of strength coursing through her veins as more voices broke free from her heart. "We all stumble. We all carry burdens. Together, we can rise." Mia's face brightened, light glistening around her as the shadows began to recede, melting away in the golden light. "You're right. We don't have to be alone," she cried, her voice breaking with renewed hope. Suddenly, shadows flared back, menacing and furious, howling with rage against the light that threatened to obliterate their hold. The earth trembled again, fury rising from the swirling shadows. "Emily!" Jake yelled, his voice raw with fear. "Can we keep this up?" "I think so," she shouted back, inching closer to the vortex, channeling every ounce of strength she had, but the shadows roared again, growing, forming claws that reached for them, raw and primal. Their chilling cries echoed, forcing Emily to question the cycle she had unleashed. "Can we handle their anguish? What if we fail?" she thought, fear gripping her throat tightly like a vice. All she could do was look at Jake and draw strength from his unwavering gaze. "Together?" she asked, breathless. "Together," he affirmed, his voice steadied as one voice. They shouted into the abyss, "We stand united. No more will we be bound by darkness." The ground quaked violently. Beneath them, fear battling courage, and the shadows lunged forward, desperate to extinguish the growing light. Would their united voices be enough to push back the dark, or had they stepped too far into the void? The answer loomed just out of reach. The shadows surged, a tempest of dread swirling around them, and Emily felt the grip of fear tightening around her heart like a vicious vice. She could see clenching claws reaching from the depths, eager to drag them back into darkness. It was now or never. "We can make it through this," she whispered, the tremor in her voice betraying the confidence she was trying to summon. "Emily!" Mia's voice laced with fear broke her focus. "You have to tell them your truth." With every ounce of will, Emily shouted again, "I believe. We believe." The swirling colors reacted violently at her declaration. The chaos grew, the atmosphere crackling with energy as the spirits surged, all eyes turned toward her, urging her on. She sensed their need, their pain. It was overwhelming, like a tidal wave crashing down. And then it came to her the truth that pressed deep within her own soul, aching to be released. "Fear is a liar," she yelled, her voice echoing against the dark. It tells us we are not enough. It tells us we are trapped. But we are not. We are free. The shadows hissed, recoiling from her words as if they were tangible weapons. The colors began to pulse again, beating like a heart, resonating with fierce energy. Emily could feel the warmth wrapping around her, almost like a promise. Feed the light. Jake cried, rallying beside her. Let it in. Emily closed her eyes, drawing strength from the flickers of courage that glowed within her. I am not defeated. She roared, her voice a battle cry. I hold the power. We all do. We can rise together. A burst of radiant light exploded, pushing against the shadows, illuminating the faces of the trapped souls, showing their anguish but also their potential. Suddenly, Jake staggered back, nearly falling, his eyes wide with shock. Emily. The other spirits. They're there listening. Emily's heart raced. Could it be true? The swirling colors brightened as the trapped spirits began to resonate with her words, their faces shifting from torment to resolve. But just as hope ignited in her chest, a bone-chilling howl cut through the air, a rage-filled force that blasted from the vortex. The shadows coalesced into a monstrous figure, towering and wrathful, its eyes black holes of despair. You think you can take back what is ours? It mocked, voice like gravel scraping against stone. No. Emily cried, defiance lighting her eyes. We will not be yours any longer. The entity loomed closer, its presence suffocating. You're a fool. It bellowed. You have ignited our fury. She could feel the pressure pushing down, fear creeping in, yet she clung to Jake's hand, the warmth radiating between them that forged a shield against the dark. Channel it. He urged, his grip tightening. Use it. Emily took a deep breath, feeling the resolve of every spirit around her. No fear, only truth. Transform the anguish. The light pulsed again. Spirits reached out for her, their essences mingling with hers as a collective force surged from within. This time, it wasn't just her voice. It was a chorus, a symphony of hopes, dreams, and shared pain rising up against the darkness. The shadows writhed, but the light pushed harder, sending tendrils of hope spiraling outwards. Yet the monstrous figure didn't relent, its rage palpable, echoing with years of suffering. Feel our pain. You can't silence us. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath their feet, cracks forming as shadows began to retreat. The colossal figure screamed, its form flickering, unstable. Is it working? Jake shouted over the chaos. Emily nodded, but the question burned within her: was it enough? As the shadows began to fragment and dissolve, the terrifying figure faced her, fury turning to despair. You cannot win, the darkness will always return. What if I make a choice? Emily challenged, heart racing. What if we choose light every time? The air crackled with anticipation, the threshold between darkness and light hanging by a thread. The swirling energies threatened to swallow them whole, the outcome still uncertain. Keep going. Jake yelled, determination etched in his features. Just then, the screams became a cacophony of despair, drowning out everything. And in that moment of climactic turmoil, Emily realized that their journey had only just begun. What more lay ahead? Would they conquer the shadows, or would they discover that fear was a road with no end? The answer unfolded before them, shrouded in the dark. As the cacophony of screams drowned the air, Emily's heart pounded in unison with the throbbing light. Shadows twisted and writhed beneath the power of her conviction, but doubt whispered insidiously in her ear. Were they truly rising above the darkness, or only stalling the inevitable? Focus, Em. Jake shouted, his voice cutting through her spiraling thoughts. Remember what we're fighting for. Emily opened her eyes, catching a glimpse of the trapped souls once more. Their faces, once twisted in agony, now flickered with glimmers of hope, spiraling around her as if forming a protective cocoon. Even amidst the chaos, she could feel their strength mixing with hers, and fear wavered in the face of something far stronger: unity. The monstrous figure towered before them, its grotesque form shifting with fury. "You foolish girl!" it roared, its breath sickeningly hot, like a furnace stoked with hatred. "You can't kindle light in a place designed for darkness." But Emily stood firm, raising her chin defiantly. "Then help us understand why. Help us choose light," she demanded, not just of the shadows, but of the spirits in bondage. Each word was a dagger plunged into the heart of despair, and she could feel the power gathering. Just then, Mia stepped forward, her voice filled with raw emotion. "You were once like us. You knew love. You knew joy." The growl of the entity faltered, and for a heartbeat, silence hung in the air. "Joy?" it rumbled, hesitation creeping into its tone. "Yes." Mia pressed. "You can choose again. Don't let the darkness swallow you whole." The shadows recoiled slightly, confusion rippling through them. Light sparked amongst the trapped souls, growing brighter as they realized their own shared longing, a longing to see the dawn after the long, dark night. For a moment, everything seemed suspended, like a breath held in the throat of the universe. Emily could feel the tide shifting as if the entire realm were holding its breath. The light grew ever stronger, pushing the shadows deep, but the darkness was not done. The creature let out a piercing wail as it seemed to gather itself, becoming more monstrous than before. "You will pay for your insolence." It lunged toward them, tendrils of dark energy reaching out, trying to snatch away their hope. Emily reacted instinctively, gathering the warmth of every spirit around her. "Together!" she shouted, and in a heartbeat, their voices combined, swirling with a magnificent crescendo, drowning out the grasping shadows. The blast of light exploded forward, encapsulating the monstrous figure, but instead of retreating, it lashed out, screams of rage reverberating everywhere. Cracks formed beneath their feet as the ground shook violently, pulsating between realms like a frantic heartbeat. "Stay strong!" Jake yelled, his courage augmenting theirs. "Remember love," Mia added, gripping Emily's shoulder as they braced against the storm of chaos. "Remember joy." The shadows screamed and surged forward, colliding against the unimaginable light they forged together. It was a blinding conflict, illuminating the very fabric of what bound them. Emily could feel her strength waning as darkness bore down on them, tearing at the edges of her mind, but just as despair threatened to devour her heart, she heard whispers, a gentle resonance of her own memories. Laughter with friends, afternoons of sunlight spilling across a warm lake, the taste of ice cream on her tongue. It was pure, filling her spirit until it overflowed. With raw determination, she tightened her grip on Jake's hand and closed her eyes. "Light!" Emily shouted, summoning all her memories, all her love, all the moments that defined her. "We are who we choose to be. We choose light." With that declaration, the pulsating light solidified into a radiant force unlike anything the realm had known. Spirits encircled her, channeling their anguish, transforming it into a dazzling shield. But even as the radiance expanded, the colossal shadow trembled, bending but not breaking, an ominous reminder of the fighting desires within. Just when she thought they were on the verge of victory, the depths of the abyss howled, hungry and infinitely patient. "You cannot escape. I will return. Darkness will always return." With a heart-stopping finality, the shadows surged forward, intent on reclaiming what had slipped from their grasp. Emily's breath hitched as questions swirled. Could they hold the light, or would it all come crashing down around them? The walls of reality teetered, and the chilling certainty fell upon her: the battle was far from over. The question hung like a storm cloud, thick with uncertainty. How long could they keep the darkness at bay? Just as the shadows lunged, another boom echoed through the air, scattering their resolve. And amidst the chaos, doubt lurked, ready to rear its ugly head again. The real fight was only beginning. The shadows lashed out, a tempest of black tendrils seeking to reclaim their lost dominion. Emily felt the surge of fear rise in her throat. Their radiant light flickered as the darkness clamored for attention, battering against their fragile fortress. "Together, we can't falter." Jake's shout was asserted, vibrating with urgency. The weight of their collective memories filled the air, yet the ominous shadow leered, sparked by a wicked confidence. It towered, parched and hungry, its hunger felt deep within Emily's chest. The others stepped in closer, each of them pulling unwavering strength from the spirits surrounding them. Mia looked into Emily's eyes, her voice steady despite the storm. Remember why we're here. We need each other. Right. Emily breathed, heart racing. If we stand together, light can pierce anything. But doubt sneaked in, would it really be enough? As her resolve began to waver, the creature's piercing gaze fixated on her. You think your bonds can save you? It hissed. You little fools are merely delaying the inevitable. Your memories, your joy, they mean nothing here. Rage swirled with despair in Emily's gut. She wasn't just fighting for herself or even for Jake and Mia, she was fighting for every soul trapped in this nightmarish void. She thought of the laughter shared among friends, the warmth of a family's embrace. Those were not just memories, they were lifelines. I will never stop believing in the light. She shouted, passion rising like a volcanic eruption. Each word, every emotion poured forth, coiling into the energy around her, intensifying the glow shield encircling them. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath her, angry whispers crawling through cracked earth. You cannot hope to win. The monstrous voice echoed, a dire chorus bleeding into the cacophony of chaos. The shadows surged, spewing forth tendrils of darkness that struck against their shield, pounding relentlessly. Emily felt the weight of the struggle, like a vice tightening around her chest. They were slipping, and she could taste the fear in the air, but then, mere inches from the churning shadows, she spotted an ethereal figure, a spirit that had been broken in defeat, now shining with sudden resolve. You are stronger than you know. Fight! It urged, breathing courage like an antidote into Emily's soul. The realization hit hard, they were not alone. Their fight was a shared one, and in unity lay a strength far greater than any malevolent darkness. Focus on love, focus on hope. Emily commanded, and her friends echoed her rallying cries. The cocoon of light around them pulsed with rhythm, their voices intertwining, forming an impenetrable barrier against despair. Mia clenched Emily's hand and, for a moment, all was still. The growling shadows hesitated, as if they hadn't expected this kind of resistance. And in that flickering pause, Emily welcomed the visions of brighter days, radiant landscapes, the laughter of loved ones, those moments that reminded her of joy and connection. Choose light. She boomed, feeling it resonate all around her. The act of solidarity was almost tangible, expanding beyond them into the void. A raw, golden glow unfurled, igniting even the deepest recesses of despair. But the creature wasn't finished. It writhed, howling in frustration, summoning another surge of darkness, more furious and relentless than before. Hold on to each other. Jake yelled. The shadows twisted, inspired by its master's fury, crawling up the radiant barrier, frantically seeking a way in. With trembling hands, Emily pressed her palms outward, vision narrowed to the might of their flickering spirits. Now! Push back! The light exploded like a supernova, bludgeoning the darkness back. Cries filled the air, all of them channeling joy and love. And as light clashed with shadow, Emily recognized the true stakes. Their unity was everything, yet slowly, testing every ounce of will, the malevolent figure clawed through the edges, relentless and torturous. You'll never escape. It roared, every word dripping with venom, and then something shifted. Emily's vision sharpened there, behind the chaotic shadows. She could hear a faint sound. Was it a heartbeat? Or was it a signal of awakening? Something deeper stirred, an underlying rhythm threading hope into the chaos. What is that? Mia cried out, voice strained. I don't know, Emily replied, unsure yet unable to turn away from the beckoning morse of possibility. But we can't back down, whatever it is, it feels important. We must find it. Their fateful challenge loomed before them, stretching into the unknown. As shadows lurked, poised to pounce, Emily's heart raced. What awaited them in that relentless darkness? Was there a greater secret hidden within, or would it consume them all? And with those questions hanging like storm clouds overhead, they braced themselves for the unseen reckoning to come. The echo of Emily's command hung in the air, tempered by the ominous silence of the void. The faint rhythm pulsed more insistently now, a heartbeat that resonated with urgency, summoning strength from somewhere deep within. Each thudding pulse sent shockwaves through the cocoon of light, mingling with their undying hope. But that darkness, that monstrous shadow, was relentless. "Focus!" Emily shouted, her voice cutting through the tension. "We need to find that sound. It might be our way out." She felt the energy shift among her friends. Jake's grip tightened around her wrist while Mia inhaled deeply, shaking off the weight of doubt. The shadows hissed, darting closer, probing for weakness. Their thrumming fury was almost suffocating. Suddenly, as if sensing a chink in their armor, the creature charged forward, its piercing eyes ablaze with malice. "Futile! Your light cannot outmatch my darkness!" It bellowed, a chilling laugh echoing in the void as if mocking their human spirit. Emily's heart raced, matching the tempo of that mysterious heartbeat. There had to be a way. "Hold your ground!" Jake yelled, raising his other hand, channeling his will into the radiant sphere surrounding them. "Katie, Soren, lend me your strength." His voice ignited a fire within the group. Their shared memories sparked in a kaleidoscope of light, a counter to the darkness. But then another loud howl erupted, rattling shards of their belief. The shadows surged again, clawing violently at their fragile barrier, cracks forming, threads of gold flickering in struggle. "Not like this. Remember your joy!" shouted Mia, eyes locked onto Emily's, a fiery resolve swirling between them. "We are not alone." With a surge of emotion, Emily closed her eyes for a split second, drawing strength from the visions of brighter days, the warmth of summer nights, the laughter of her family, the scarred but resilient friendships they had forged. "I believe in us!" she cried out, every ounce of her fervor channeled into the light. The shadows paused, growing still, as if bewildered by the power of their memories. The moment stretched, a glimmering possibility floating on the brink of existence. But then, as if fueled by rage, the creature unleashed a final, deafening roar, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. "Together!" Jake yelled, his voice breaking through the cacophony of darkness. They all raised their hands, flooded with emotion, and reached deep into their spirits. A shimmering pulse cascaded outwards, resounding like the heartbeat they had heard before, threatening to break the stranglehold of the sinister void around them. The shadows recoiled and writhed, suddenly uncertain. "Now!" Emily shouted, leading them in a powerful chant. "Hope! Love! Unity!" With each word, light exploded from their gathered strength, the intensity blinding and vivid. They had become a beacon, a star against the vastness of night, and the shadows screamed, thrashing wildly against the encroaching warmth. "Keep pushing!" Mia screamed, her voice blending into the symphony of hope, the energies thrumming together like a chord struck in triumph. But as the light surged forward, the heartbeat they had sensed pulsed stronger, echoing through the darkness and redirecting their energy. The shadows wavered, twisted, until something shifted just beneath them. A gaping chasm appeared, a void thrusting upward, where the heartbeat harmonized with their united force. What Emily gasped as a swirling mass revealed itself, blurs of light intertwined with colors they couldn't comprehend, offering an escape and beckoning them in. "Mia! Jake! We have to go!" Emily cried out, urgency clawing at her throat. The darkness lashed back angrily, desperate to reclaim its hold, and yet, as they hesitated at the precipice, a shocking realization hit: what if this new path led them deeper into peril? Or was it truly their salvation? The choice loomed heavy, and the chilling fear of the unknown clawed at their minds. "Do we trust it?" Mia gasped, staring at the swirling abyss that pulsed in rhythm, almost begging them to leap. As the shadows gathered with a vengeful roar, ready to strike, Emily's heart raced. It was a moment of decision: would they plunge into chaos once more or embrace the chance at salvation hidden within the darkness? And as the heartbeat thundered louder, they stood on the edge of a new reality, the weight of the world resting upon them. The silence that followed felt like an eternity, hanging heavy in the air. Emily's heart thudded in her chest, resonating with the pulsing rhythm from the chasm before them. It was as if the very essence of their fears and hopes intertwined, a living thing begging for release. Emily. Jake's voice cut through the tension, his desperation bleeding into the moment. What do we do? Emily took a deep breath, gathering courage from the warmth of Jake's grip and the fierce determination shimmering in Mia's eyes. The shadows festered like angry banshees, shrieking at their indecision, and she knew they had to act. We trust it, she exclaimed, rallying her spirit against the dreadful uncertainty. We have to believe in something greater. With that, her feet moved instinctively toward the chasm, every fiber in her being yearning for light, a chance to break free from the suffocating grip of darkness. She felt a surge of strength ripple through her friends as they stepped forward, each deciding in that moment to embrace the unknown together. Together. Emily shouted again, the word buoying them like a lifeboat on rough seas. Without hesitation, she leaped into the swirling mass, dragging Jake and Mia along with her, their hands interlinked like a lifeline. The moment they crossed the threshold, the world erupted in brilliance. Colors exploded around them, swirling lights blending into a kaleidoscope of warmth and energy that surged up like a tidal wave. The sound roared around them, laughter, music, and a chorus of voices singing hope. For the first time, Emily felt the weight of despair lift, replaced by an enveloping light that wrapped itself around them like a vibrant tapestry. Hold on. Jake called, his joyous laughter mingling with the chaos as they spun deeper into the vibrant fabric of this place. The rhythm of their hearts synchronized with the pulsing energy, blending pain and joy into something beautiful. And then, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, the spirits they had fought for began to emerge from the shadows they had freed themselves from. Mia's childhood friend, Mia herself, and countless others, glowing with light, their eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you. They chorused, each emancipated soul radiant, but amidst the joy, a flicker of darkness loomed. The colossal shadow was still there, clinging fiercely to its power, screeching in rage. You cannot escape me. I am eternal. The shadows whirled violently around them, but every time it surged, Emily felt their strength push back, drawing upon the harmony they created. With every ounce of her will, Emily shouted, You might be strong, but we are not alone. We will rise together. They stood firm as a wave of radiant light flowed from them, flooding the darkness with warmth that ignited hope in every heart. The shadow shrieked and writhed, futilely attempting to merge with the light, but it was no use. The combined force of love, unity, and truth bore down upon it, finally fracturing its hold. The moment of reckoning had arrived. Emily felt herself caught in the eye of the storm as radiant threads began to weave together, creating a tapestry of memories, of lives that had intertwined. Each face brought forth another memory, yes, heartbreak, loss, and fear, but more brightly illuminated was the undeniable strength of community, the power of connection, and the miracle of belief. Then, with a deafening roar, the monstrous figure sputtered, its form collapsing into beams of light that scattered into the void, a release of anguish finally allowed to dissipate. The shadows burst away, illuminating the space in warmth. Finally free, they erupted into a celebratory dance, the spirits rejoicing with laughter and joy, caressing the light that enveloped them. You did it! Mia shouted, tears of relief and happiness sparkling down her cheeks, and Emily, too, felt tears prick her eyes, but they were tears born of a feeling of completeness. As they embraced, every hug felt like a thread weaving tighter into their collective tapestry. They had faced unimaginable fears and, together, illuminated the darkest corners of their hearts. The dawn had come, and it was theirs for the taking. Exhaling a sigh of relief, Emily looked around at her friends and the spirits gathered with them, a vast network strung together by shared experiences. This isn't just a miracle for us. It's for everyone. A reminder that hope exists, she declared, standing tall in front of the now fading shadows. Yes. Jake added, beaming, and we'll carry it into the world, one story at a time. With renewed purpose and hope blazing bright in their hearts, they turned back toward the familiar path home, the golden light illuminating their way, promising to spread this awakening through their quiet town. The night was behind them, and as they walked, the dawn washed over everything a new beginning, a promise that they, too, were the miracles they sought. Subscribing means being part of each new adventure. You need to subscribe now and join our journey. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, it really matters to us. Don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what's next. And in the spirit of miracles, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this magic. This is the moment to show your support, and we can't wait to hear from you. Don't wait even one more second to share.